I've written since then a kind of reflection. I wanted to go back to this region, and I've written an article that reflects on what's happened in the last 50 years. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to come back for COVID and other reasons, but you know, I think partly there's a critique here that I think I overplayed the quiescence. Quiescence, there was probably forms of resistance going on that as an outsider, I simply didn't see. And so this, of course, is what other people like James Scott, a great Yale political sociologist, talks about when he talks about hidden transcripts, when he talks about ways that people exercise power and agency that are invisible to the power holders. It may be through storytelling, it may be through music, it may be through hidden acts of resistance. And I think, to be honest, I wasn't open enough to those. And secondly, since that time, when I go back 50 years later, I get a very different sense of the region. And partly, I think, it's because things have changed. There has been a lot of new organizations rising up, a lot of new activity throughout the region, through groups like Save Our Cumberland Mountains, through alternative land ownership groups like the Model Valley Group, through the building of community-owned health clinics, through youth protests, through huge things. So I think I overplayed perhaps the quiescence argument. And yet still there was always moments of history. The argument was there were certain moments of history when power weakened that revolt erupted. So it wasn't historically always quiescent. You could look at the miners' wars of the 1930s and 20s and 30s, where huge amounts of organizing and protest occurred. So the argument was that when the power field weakened, then the suppressed protests would emerge, and other times the system would rebuild itself. And that's what we argue over time.